Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells all regarding family court, other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find me, my books, and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com. I have a return guest on. I have Amy Palacios. She wants to update her case and Sabrina Berry's case as well, because they're having continuous threats of contempt of court. But Amy was last on Season 3, episodes 147, 165, and 179. Season 4, episodes 134, 145, 150. Season 5, episodes 22, 70, and 73, and 83. And I welcome you, Amy Palacios. I'm sorry this is happening, and you've got these judges that refuse to recuse. What's happening?
Thank you, Marianne, for letting me come on today. I thought it was urgent because we are going to court again tomorrow in Mecklenburg County, continual with Sabrina Berry and Judge Gary Henderson. This Judge Gary Henderson was even removed and put from district court to like the superior court. He's supposed to be in criminal court now, but they keep popping him back in to do this illegal rulings. And he's the one that put Sabrina Berry in jail for 12 days, saying she was in contempt of court. But the thing is her ex, Kevin, this guy Kevin, because I've gone repetitive, like over 10 times, and my husband's gone many times to her exchanges, and he doesn't show up. Like, we've literally recorded it, like, he does not show up to the exchanges, and then she's in contempt of court for him not coming. But the judge, the lawyer, DeSillis is his lawyer, and this DeSillis is about as bad as Jay White. He's telling him to do that. He's telling him to not show up so then Sabrina can go to jail for him not getting the child. So it's crazy. He won't show up to the kids' school when he was supposed to get her for, whatever, like after it, like an end of a break, and he was supposed to show up at the end of the break and go. He just shows up when he wants to show up, 2 and 3 days after he was actually supposed to receive her. And then she's supposed to be in contempt of court because she's not going to stop what she's doing on the fly to just go give him the child. So if this is over a holiday weekend, like, of course she's not going to just sit at home. He didn't get the child, so all her family lives in Virginia, then she's going to go see her family, like with or without the child, right? Because she has two other children. So it's just ridiculous because it's the same. These lawyers, they know what you can they're trying to put all these women in contempt of court for things when the men are intentionally, because the reason why I already testified for her, my ex-husband did that to me. He tried to say tried to do the same thing when I was in Mecklenburg County. Like, I worked weekends. He had them during the week and I had them on the weekend. I had them all week, Monday through Friday when my kids were little, and he had them on the weekends, and I worked weekender, like Friday, Saturday night. And repetitively, my ex-husband, Matthew Bledsoe, wouldn't show up to get my kids. And I would be sitting there for hours. I had all these text messages. I would send the pictures. I would do all this stuff. And I was like blowing up at him, like, why are you not here? Because I'm not going to be able to go to work. And if I lose my job, it's going to be your fault. You know what I mean? So I knew the ploy was already there because my ex-husband tried to do the same thing. His lawyer tried to do the same thing, that the lawyers tell them not to show up so that you can go to jail for contempt of court. When you're not even in contempt, they're the one not showing up, So I know that Mecklenburg County does that for a fact, and they're getting away with it. So they're still trying to. Well, Sabrina Berry has tried to recuse Judge Gary Henderson, and hopefully tomorrow he recuses himself. But the same thing happened to me with not Mecklenburg County, but Cabarrus County. Both Judge Nathaniel Knust and Christy Wilhelm in Cabarrus County never recuse themselves. They won't recuse themselves, even though there's conflict of interest with Jay White, even though there's all these things that are illegal and fraudulent of how they're handling the court system. They refuse to recuse themselves. You know, Knust was the same judge that gave me a DV protective order, was the same judge that sat on stand while my ex-husband threatened to kill me on the stand. Was the same judge that gave me an order to pay that man, Brad Urban, the one that threatened to kill me on the stand, $70,000, and then his lawyer. You know, it was two different orders that said $15,000. So at one point I thought it was 30, but he said, Knut said no, it was one order for 15,000, that it was just written twice. So I paid the $15,000 to Jay White at this point. And in February, I hadn't paid anything directly to Jay White, but I had already paid like $40,000 to Brad Urban. And the only thing that was remaining was like this $30,000 retirement account. Well, Judge Knut wrote an order for a quadro for this. It was even 25, I think it was even like $25,000 back then, because it's gone on and on, just waiting for over 3 or 4 years. That he was supposed to use that account, that money, to pay down on the $20,000 that I was supposed to pay up front, and then it was supposed to be $800 a month for the remaining of the $70,000. Well, if they would have cashed the quadro or written the order for the quadro that was ordered to be written, I have probably 7 different ones where it says the quadro was ordered to be written by Jay White, by Knut. I have 7 different pages that is checked that Jay White's supposed to write that. And it was both in district court under our 17 CVD case, and our under superior court too. We went to the superior court because I tried to, you know, go to superior court from that, and they in open court said, you know, sign over this quadro. That superior court judge also said, well, there's your money right there, the retirement, just sign over the quadro. And then he was supposed to give me a title to the car. Well, they did it in open court. Well, he never wrote the quadro, and that was like 2022. So we're in 2024. Again, in February, Jay White was ordered to write our quadro to take that retirement money. But I never would have been in contempt, civil contempt, in February of 2024 if he would have written the quadro, you know, 3 years ago. Mm-hmm. So they gave me civil contempt on the spot in February of 2024 for not paying Jay White lawyer fees, which you can't even go to jail for not paying lawyer fees. But they, on the spot, Knut said, if you don't go to the bank in you have 30 minutes to go to the bank and get $5,000 for Jay White, or you're going to go to jail and sit indefinitely in jail until this money is paid. And then you have, so, you know, however many months till we come back to court again to pay the entire money, which was the $15,000.
Oh my God. You know what? Judge Knut needs to go back and read his judicial canons and the Constitution.
Wow. Yeah, because he just follows his own rules. He beats to his own drum, you know. So now these orders from February are still not written. It's what is it? November? Mm-hmm. Okay, they're still not written. So, you know, I made complaints to the judicial standards. There's an ongoing complaint at the bar. There's been an open ongoing complaint on Jay White at the bar for like years. They haven't even closed it. It's an open complaint still. I told you on this before that the FBI called me a few months ago in the you know, in the summer, and asked me all these questions, like an hour long, about Jay White. So I thought, you know, there must be closing in on him, and they asked me for a copy of this order from February. I still can't produce it because he still hasn't written it. So my lawyer is like, okay, well, I'm like, how do you make them write an order that they're just indefinitely not writing because it was fraud to begin with, and they know that? Mm-hmm. She's like, well, you can write a motion I think, a motion to compel.
Mhm.
And essentially the judge can be fined $1,000 a day until the order is written if you write this motion to compel. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just do that.
Mhm.
Well, I think she just threatened Jay White, and then all of a sudden he produced this order. Well, I didn't know about this until today. And so that's why I'm like really upset about it. I didn't know about it until today that, sorry, let me turn this off. There's that. That apparently on November 4th, Jay White tried to write that I was in criminal contempt back in February of 2024. It was a civil contempt for not paying lawyer fees. And now he's trying to create an order that I'm in criminal contempt because we're going to court like a couple days before Thanksgiving. And so, you know, I'm sure he's going to be like, she still hasn't paid the Quadro order, which he had to write. She still hasn't paid this $35,000 that he wants me to pay out of pocket. He doesn't want to receive the retirement money because it's taxed, right? When you're not going to get all that money because it's taxed. He wants cash money. So he's just doing whatever he wants to do. Just like when Christy Wilhelm from the stand said, when all this happened, where they still haven't given me a full trial, they still, you know, kidnapped my kids because I got remarried and did all this stuff to me. She said from the stand, I would never have to pay child support in Cabarrus County, and that Jay White could not represent Matthew Bledsoe, my ex-husband, but he still represented him in child support, and he still turned around immediately and tried to make me pay child support, even though once one side stops paying child support, you can't even file for child support for a whole year. So nobody can pay for a year anything. Like, that's the law in North Carolina. So Jay White still tried to just turn around immediately and make me pay him like $2,800 a month. But then we had to wait a whole nother year, and then they did it again. I think maybe it was like 2,200 the first time, and then they changed it up like to 2,800 once we waited the year or whatever. And it still wasn't a full year that we waited. So there's issues like Jay White's lost every position. I mean, he was over the school board, over the county contract, over DSS child support, over DSS child welfare. He was, you know, acting as the top criminal lawyer of the county and working on family individual cases. So he's lost every position except for the DSS child welfare part. Apparently he's supposed to be weaned off of that one, and somebody else is taking over time, but it's still somebody from his law firm. So it's the same problem.
Right.
You know? And so they're weaning him off and giving it to somebody else, but like, he's still kidnapping children in the midst of it. And now I think in September was when it was filed. There's an open lawsuit on DSS Cabarrus County that's stuck. It's still open. They haven't dismissed it on, you know, the faulty paperwork that they're using to take children with, because even with my child support order, I had told you guys that he sent a letter to my office from Jay White himself, not the state, not like, he sent it from my office saying I need to, it's close to $2,800 a month. It's like 27 something that it needed to start withdrawing from my check now. And I have, you know, lawyers for our practice, and they're like, this isn't even the legal paperwork to withdraw child support from your check. Like, we can't just take it based on some random lawyer sends us a threat and tells us what we have to do. Like, it has to be like the correct paperwork. And so not only is he illegally taking child support funds from people's checks that aren't correct state paperwork, but he's been illegally taking people's children. You know, there's 230 children in Cabarrus County that are removed and either in foster home or group care. And that they're getting matched, $800 a kid. The state gets matched, and the foster home and the group group homes get paid $800 a kid, and these kids are even sleeping on the floor. There's so many of them. And so that's like $184,000 a month that the state is making off of kidnapping children in North Carolina. And so I couldn't be a part of that lawsuit because my kids were never taken by DSS, but it's like the kids that are taken by DSS most of the time don't have the money to fight back.
Right.
So it's like the people that have some sort of income to fight back, they don't usually use DSS because they can extort them for money like they did me. Like, oh, you want to see your kids? Oh, you have to pay $70,000. Oh, you want to do this? You have to. And I have sole custody of my younger two children, and he has supervised visitation, and he doesn't pay any child support, but yet, you know, like, and he went to jail for 6 months for beating me up, has 2 convictions of criminal assault on a female, and beat up a police officer that they gave him. You know, they wrote that one off because they said he was crazy because he was walking around. He was walking around the gym, painting the walls with poop, the floors with poop, naked. You know, he women and still be safe to be around children. And I better pay him. I better pay him for all that I put him through. I should be the one that has to pay. For being choked out and dragged and beaten. He hasn't paid me a dime for that. And I had to pay a 70-something thousand, I think it's $74,000 bankruptcy because of his like manic spending. And I mean, he all his medical bills and stuff, like he was in like this institution for like 8 months. That was all medical bills and all this crazy stuff. And, you know, I had to pay that on top of the $70,000 I had to pay him. So essentially I paid for an entire already $74,000. So then they made me pay him $74,000. There wasn't even that much money to be had for equitable distribution. We had nothing. We had no house. We had nothing. Everything was rental. We had lost everything due to his manic behaviors and drug problem. I was keeping everybody afloat.
Right.
You know, and for the last 3 years, I've been having to work 2 jobs just to keep paying, or they're going to take my kids, or they're going to put me in jail, or they're going to do whatever they're going to say they're going to do to me. Even they do these things without any written court orders. So I'm just really excited about Trump being back in office, because he was the one when he was right before I think he lost that election to Biden. He had given each county money for domestic violence. Like Mecklenburg County got $10 million. Cabarrus County got $6 million. What did they do? Build a courthouse.
Instead of putting the money where it should have gone.
And so when Trump was removed from office, he had all these people making sure they were that they weren't corruptly using the money. But now, you know, he can do that again.
And I think the FBI needs to go into Mecklenburg and Cabarrus counties, these courthouses, and clean house. Because there's way too much extortion from your case and what they're putting Sabrina Berry through. That is just bizarre extortion.
And it's retaliation too. Oh, you tell on me? You tell on me for fraudulently doing my job and fraud in the court? You tell on me? I'm going to punish you. I'm going to put you in jail for that. I mean, there's absolutely no reason why Sabrina Berry should be going to jail for her ex-husband not showing up to get the child. He didn't even follow the court order. He didn't even want to see the child. She had to make him. And then all of a sudden, the same thing. He got like some other girl pregnant and started to try to be like, I'm going to have a family with somebody else. Oh, and Sabrina filed for child support. That's what it was. I said, don't do that. If you file for child support, he's going to try to get the child. Oh, 4 years, 5 years of her life, he's never wanted to see her. Why would he now want to see her?
Always let
Because he
sleeping
doesn't
dogs
want
lie.
to pay. He
Right.
doesn't want to pay.
Right. Right. It's like you'd rather go without that money than to be having this hell, this wrath brought on you.
So, how what's crazy is now Cabarrus County is on electronic, like everything is electronic. But I've had like 5 different people look up all my cases. They're blank. My cases are blank. You can't pull them up. Even my lawyer Everson, she cannot pull up my cases. So something is going on with just my case of why you can't see it online. And she filed for a motion for custody for my middle 2 children because my older 2 are in college. Because they've been asking me and asking me and asking me, when is it going to week on, week off again? Why are we, why is this? Why is this? You said that you're going to keep fighting. When is it doing? When is it going? And I'm like, I paid for a lawyer to file. Well, we go in October, another continuance, and they had removed her filing out the case. The clerk of court says it's not there. The last filing was when we went to court in February of 2023. So they're removing the filings of even the lawyer. Like I have a gatekeeper order saying I have to have a lawyer now because they don't want me representing myself. And they have on the gatekeeper order, like, oh, we had all these times that we heard her case, but, she still thought she needed a permanent custody trial. Guess what? All those times were freaking continuances. Ask Yolanda and James. Ask Stephanie Hucks and her husband, Eric. So Yolanda Rushing and James Campbell, they've been going for 15 months and they've never gotten to put on a defense. Stephanie Hucks and this is Cabarrus County in front of Christy Wilhelm. And then Stephanie Hucks and Eric Hucks have gone for 3 years and never gotten to put on a defense. They just make up and put a date down that they had trial that day. Literally, Eric Hucks and Stephanie, they changed the judges from Wilhelm to Knust. And I was like, oh God, that's not any better.
Not at all.
And I said, and they literally had like a 15-minute trial, or not even 15 minutes. It was like 5 minutes with like one, I don't think it's like a guardian ad litem type thing, and just talked just like they would do to me. And they never have ever once been able to go and have trial and defend themselves. They just all this stuff was done to them. They've never had a defense. Same thing with Travis that I had with Merritt White. He's never once had a defense. He just keeps going to trial, but there's no defense. So it's like, but he's paid out $125,000. Same thing, threatening him jail if he doesn't pay, but he's never had a custody trial. And he has his kids like every other weekend, same thing. And never, like, they won't even let him get divorced.
There
won't
it
even let him
is.
get divorced. They will not even, and it's an absolute divorce state. So he should be able to just sign his side and be divorced. So my issue is Judge Gary Henderson needs to be recused tomorrow for Mecklenburg County. Judge Knust and Judge Wilhelm need to be recused before this trial and before Thanksgiving. And I need to be heard. Like, this money stuff is over. The quadro is over. So, now they're like, oh, it's your fault. You need to have a meeting with your retirement company and your lawyer. No, Jay White still hasn't written the order for the quadro. We cannot have a meeting until the order is written by Jay White to remove the money. They're not going to have a meeting with us until that order exists. And it was checked off again that he was to write it back in February of 2024. The first time he was ordered to write it was in 2021. He just refuses to write the quadro order because he doesn't want the retirement money.
He can't have it both ways. What is he doing?
Now he's just trying to make up that I'm in criminal contempt, when I should have never even been in civil contempt back in February and made to go pay lawyer fees. That's not even a reason for contempt. You cannot be in contempt of court for not paying lawyer fees. And it's not my lawyers, it's his lawyer.
It's just not, yeah, the extortion is sickening, absolutely sickening. And they shouldn't even be touching your retirement fund. Believe me, these guys are going to retire very well on taxpayers' expense.
Well, I think the funniest part of the whole story was, like, I had told you that I was extorted, by Jay White, $70,000, and really it's more closer to 100. And then this Travis guy was extorted by Merritt White, $70,000 also. And then, we're in an open public meeting, and I'm gonna attach the audio recording of it. I'm gonna send you the audio recording of this meeting that we had later so the public can listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
But we in open public meeting in Cabarrus County, they were like, there's $70,000 unaccounted for. Like, they had to admit that in public. So me and Amy Betts go, and we're having a meeting with the county manager and one of the DSS social workers, and then this other lawyer that now is trying to sit in for Jay White that was trying to take over. His name was Evans. And I said, well, it's kind of crazy that $70,000 was missing from me. It's taken from me. $70,000 is taken from this other guy, same law firm, Hartzell and Williams. And then $70,000 is missing in the county, and y'all admitted it in a public meeting. And Evans on the audio recording, and I'm going to send it to you so you can play it for the public can listen to it. He admits in the background that, we know where that $70,000 went. It went to Merritt White. Merritt White is Jay White's brother. Jay White was the one that has the contract for DSS. He's the one that has the contract. So if the county is already paying Jay White millions of dollars to be over all these different contracts, why the hell are they also sidelining paying out $70,000 to Merritt White? I want to know.
Is this like a fancy money laundering type of operation they've got going down there?
It sounds like it. And I think that probably had to do with the reason why the FBI called me.
Mm-hmm.
Because we talked about that in the public meeting at the county commissioners. And, I told you I had to give that $5,000 or go to jail. My $10,000 check, I did it in public at the county commissioner meeting. This is my last $10,000 that I have to pay to Jay White, his firm, Hartzell and Williams, extorted money. And I already had said it in that public meeting. This is extortion. This is wrong. And then the next week, it wasn't directly for me. There was a lot of other people that had issues with what's going on with him, right? That he's been doing all this stuff. But the next week, he lost every contract except for the children. They left him over the children, over DSS child welfare. They took him off of all the other contracts, the county, the child support, all this other stuff. But they left him over the children, the part that he should have been removed from first. How does that make any sense?
No. Well, I guess maybe they want to keep the extortion going, keep the money flow going at the expense of children.
Yeah. That $184,000 a month that the state is making to keep children from their households sounds a
Mhm.
little extreme.
Right. I agree. So, what time is your court appearance tomorrow?
We go at 2 p.m. tomorrow in in Mecklenburg County in front of Gary Henderson. And he's, again, trying to put Sabrina Berry in jail for contempt of court. And same issue. She has never been heard on anything she's filed. So they skipped all the stuff that she filed, and they're just hearing this DeSillis guy. Like, so they go to court to hear, they're supposed to be hearing what she filed, and he replaces it with his motions. He replaces it.
Oh, that's highly unethical. So, you're saying Sabrina Berry's going tomorrow at 2 p.m.?
Yes. I
Oh,
don't go until the week of Thanksgiving. I think it's Tuesday
oh, geez.
before Thanksgiving that I go. And I've been, the same orders for money has been continued and going on and on since 2021. It's 2024.
Mm-hmm.
2024.
I don't know if this extortion's ever going to stop for you.
I mean, I've already paid in full. I mean, I went to drop the child support because now I only have two of my kids aged out, and they took 9 times we went to court to drop the child support of the child that turned off 18, and they wouldn't drop her. So I overpaid all that money. So then when they dropped it from $2,800 in court, they testified, and they brought in a different judge from a different county to do my case. And the DSS social worker testified and said it would be my numbers would drop down to $1,400 a month. But when I got the paperwork, it was $2,000 that I still was supposed to pay. And I'm like, okay, well, how is it? Like, we went to court and the numbers were given on the stand. How is it now a whole different number? And they were like, oh, we did the math wrong. So it doesn't even matter what you go to court for. If they write a whole new order, or like, Jay White, for example, he's trying to write that I'm in criminal contempt of court when it was ordered that I was in civil contempt of court. He tried to file on the same day criminal contempt of court and civil contempt of court. They dismissed the criminal contempt of court, and they gave me civil contempt of court.
In
It said I had to
February.
pay $5,000 right now or go to jail.
Right. I remember that. That was in February.
Yeah. But now, on November 4th, Jay White wrote up an order that says I was in criminal contempt of court. And I'm just finding out about that today because I'm like, I want the copy. I need the copy of whatever order is written so I can give it to the FBI, the bar, the ACLU. Everybody needs that copy of this order so it can go in an advancement. It can be appealed. They can, sue him, whatever. If they try to do something to me 2 days before Thanksgiving, I already have the proof. Well, my lawyer wrote him back and was like, no, this was civil contempt of court, was not criminal. You can't just make up something later.
Right. Sounds like you have a really good attorney.
But they just run all over her. She filed for my kids to have a motion for custody for my middle 2 kids. And they just removed it in August and haven't given us a court date.
Those poor kids.
So it's so aggravating because, Addison just turned 17. Blake will be 16 in a couple of months. And it's just, he's keeping the kids so he gets the money. He wants to be paid to it's, It's parental alienation. It's kidnapping with a kidnapping fee. It's driving, holding your kids in front of you like a carrot, and you have to keep paying out money or you don't do. I mean, he doesn't pay for anything. He doesn't pay for a haircut. He doesn't pay for a pair of shoes. He
Mm-mm.
doesn't pay for any thing at the kids' school. Like, I need to pay $5 for this. I need to pay $20 for that. I need to pay. They send it to me to pay
Mhm.
for.
Or braces. He probably won't bother with braces on their
Oh
teeth
yeah,
either.
he did say to what we already all had braces. I already paid for all four of them to have braces, but he was like, "Well, I don't agree that they need the braces, so I don't have to pay for it." That was what he would say.
These personality disorders are running amok in these court rooms, and the X's are personality disorders that are disturbing and destroying our children's lives. So you're,
I feel like maybe there's some hope that Trump's back in the office because he did have some sort of plan to end this corruption.
yeah, I
You
hope
know,
so. I hope so. Because I know you're going to be in volume 3, but I have you in this book here, Raised by These Wolves, How Family and Federal Courts Are Failing Our Children. You are number 18, chapter 18. And then I have you in volume 3, Raised by These Wolves, Child Trafficking Within the Foster Care and Court Systems. You are chapter 19. And here's your picture.
oh,
And you're going to be in volume 3 with your updates coming up here when this gets
well,
published.
we just appreciate you getting our stories out there because I honestly think that you sending the stories out like all this, I every single time it would be like you're going to jail before Christmas. Like this time
Oh,
it's like we're going to threaten you to go to jail before Thanksgiving, and that I have all the kids on Thanksgiving.
oh,
So if they did it to me before Christmas, it wouldn't matter because the kids go with their dad on Christmas this year. So I have everybody, my whole family, my husband's whole family, everybody's coming to my house to cook Thanksgiving. So of course they're trying to. It's every holiday they try to. It's abuse. Like
mhm.
why was the last 7 times it even continued? And then you're gonna be like, it's my fault because I need to have a meeting with my I cannot have a meeting with my retirement place if you haven't written an order. I can't have any kind of meeting with my retirement account if you haven't written an order. They're not gonna they're not gonna give me the money or even have a conversation with me about it. If there's not a judge signed order that says pay the retirement account to Brad Urban.
Oh.
That's all it has to say. Why the hell has it not been done? It's been 3 years because Jay White wants cash money.
Yeah, I think he needs to go flip burgers at McDonald's or I don't know, maybe work in a nursing home and take care of people. But I don't know if that's a good idea.
He would probably leave him sitting and pee and poop. And
Yeah, true,
I mean,
true.
I have multiple nursing homes full of patients. Like he's not even like a decent enough person that should be around children. He shouldn't be around old people. He should be, on an island by himself because until he gets those demons removed, he's
Mhm.
continual corruption. Like he's just the the epitome of destruction
Mhm.
and intentional. He has no conscience.
Right.
A funny thing is Jay White's brother. I had no idea he had lost so much weight.
Huh.
And I thought he was two different people. And I do weight loss.
Mhm.
Let me pull it up. I don't know, can you see that? The top two pictures?
Yes. Oh, really?
It's
He
the
lost
same
that much?
person. It's the same person. Those top two pictures are Merritt White.
Whoa. Yeah,
Yeah, he's the same person. I thought because there's like 3 people with the name Jay White in their practice. I thought there was just multiple people with the name Merritt White.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, there was this a bigger guy that, he was the lawyer. At one point, I had Merritt White and Jay White against me because Merritt White was the lawyer for Brad's parents and Jay White was the lawyer for him.
Complete conflict of interest. Oh,
So it's crazy. But
um,
I didn't even know they were the same person. I thought it was 2 different people.
and isn't
So I
Merritt
was
a
so
girl's
confused.
name?
I don't know. There's a lot of that in the South where like men have women's names, like Lindsay or something like that. And so you're like, they show up and you're like, you're Lindsay? Oh, okay. You're Ashley? Okay. All right.
Ah, jeez. I still can't believe all of this is happening to you because you have been in court, what, over 15 years?
Yep. Since 2007. So Amy, Betts, and I, we've met way back then. We were ordered to go to a domestic violence class because we both have been beaten up
Mm,
and attacked. And so, but yet the crazy thing is about everybody in our domestic violence class, me and Amy were the only 2 people that had our kids. And this one girl was like beat up and sent to the ICU by the husband. And actually the husband and the son beat her up together.
oh no. That's parental alienation, domestic violence.
And that's what they do is like literally they'll even your own kids will physically, verbally, all these attack you because they're so brainwashed that they're like, you're the problem. If you would just, you're the problem for the domestic violence. If you would just do that, if you would just shut your mouth, if you would just allow it to
Mm-hmm.
happen, if you would just live in silence. Nope. The first time you're silent, you're dead.
Right.
Silence is the last thing you have to do.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, I'm so glad you came on to update your case. How can people reach you if they have any questions?
I mean, I guess just through you, but we need, because I'm horrible about email.
That's okay.
Um,
You're super busy, obviously, because you have to make all
yeah,
these child support payments and pay this extortion money to this personality disorder.
yeah. And it's funny because my second ex-husband, the one that beat me up and went to jail and everything, he acts like because he's not narcissistic like the first one. He's bipolar. So he
Mm-hmm.
truly like doing drugs and everything made him crazy.
You're right.
You know what I mean? And my first ex-husband was attacking him just as much as he was attacking me. But the crazy thing is like he's like, I don't know why my lawyer won't write the retirement on order. I just want this to be over with. I said, well, you're paying for this to be continued. You know this. Like you're the one paying the lawyer. You're the one that is causing this to continue on and on and on. So you can't blame the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're the one that did the drugs. You're the one that beat me up. You're the one that tried to kill me. You're the one that got 2 convictions of assault on a female. You're the one that beat the police officer up. You're the one that did this. Guess what? You had every single thing. There's 6 things on a list to reason to have termination of parental rights. You only have to have one of them. He had every single one of the 6 things. I could have terminated his parental rights. All I asked for was to have his parents be the guardian and him have supervised visitation indefinitely, which is what happened. But Jay White said to my lawyer that there has to be a termination of parental rights for that to happen. So the whole reason why that was even brought about was Jay White himself. His own lawyer suggested that my lawyer bring forth the termination of parental rights, which is what I'm supposedly now having to pay lawyer fees for. That $15,000 that I had to pay for was Jay White's advice. Jay White's advice. Because we already had a consent order or mediation order where his parents were the interveners and he had the kids. They had the kids like every other Friday night. And then anything else that I negotiated, but they were the interveners and they were the supervisors. We already had a written order signed by a judge. With that, I never needed to go and pay $100,000 to get here. We already had a consent order from mediation. And Jay White was the one that even opened the termination of parental rights. Jay White, his own lawyer, opened that case. His own lawyer said they cannot be the interveners unless his rights are terminated. Because I guess when the mediation was done, he was like deemed incompetent. Because I guess he deemed him in and out of competency 3 times to get out of criminal charges, but yet said he was competent to have children. And this man, Jay White, is the one over DSS children right now. This man, the one defending all the criminals in Cabarrus County, the top criminal defendant, is saying the criminals should have the children, but making out that parents that aren't criminals are fake criminals so he can take their children and make money off of them.
And this is how it goes.
A cycle of hell. I keep talking, sorry. You
No,
just have
you're
to cut it off.
No, it's a lot of trauma, and people need to know this and hear you speak. So maybe they will hopefully avoid going into family court.
Right.
We're trying to educate and teach people, this is what happened to you, this is what happened to me, so please don't go in there. But is there anything else you'd like to add?
I mean, the thing is like, you know, they try to put you in jail even if you already paid money. Does that make sense? Like, you already did what the order says, but then they try to give you a whole nother reason.
Right.
Like, just to constantly threaten you.
And that's extortion, and debtor's prison was abolished in 1833. All these people need to be evaluated by the FBI. The extortion needs to stop. We need the FBI.
And I need everyone in Cabarrus County to call the FBI, everyone that's having all this stuff happen to them by Jay White, anything that Jay White, Merritt White, or anything that Hartzell and Williams has done to them, or anything that has happened to them under Christy Wilhelm or Judge Knust. I need you to call the FBI and talk to Diane Winters. Diane Winters. I want you all to flood in with every communication, every single thing that has happened to you in this county, so that she can continue to build her case against this law firm.
How do you spell her last name? Is it Winters?
I think it's Winters, like Winner, but she talked to me on the phone. I didn't ask her to like spell her last name. So it's either Winters or Winters, but I thought it was Winters.
Okay.
But I know Diane is her first name. So if we all talk to the same FBI agent in North Carolina and get the story to them, so add on, then there should be, she's already investigating, obviously. She needs more. You know, she needs more information from more people, because I'm not the only one being extorted here. I'm not the only one having fraud upon the court. I'm not the only one. This is, I'm not, it's not single-handedly just happening to me.
Oh, exactly. I'm so glad you came on to let us know all of this is happening. Don't jump off, okay?
Okay.
Slam the Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these courtrooms. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube, Apple, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google, and other platforms I don't know about. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. Thank you, Amy Palacios, for informing us about Sabrina Berry and her fate and what may happen to you 2 days before Thanksgiving. Really, I'm so sorry.
Thanks again.